Welcome to the Storm Services Damage Assessment, Assessor, and Driver Training. During this presentation, we'll talk about Storm Services expectations for drivers and assessors. We'll talk about our clients' expectations for our teams. We'll talk about safety. We'll talk about your expectations and our expectations. At the end of this, you'll be given a chance to take a short exam. Thanks very much. Let's get started. Let's start off with the importance of damage assessment. As a damage assessor, you have one of the most critical roles in a storm and one that needs performed well. Your work will help determine what kinds of crews are needed, what kinds of equipment is needed, and the estimated time of restoration. All important things for our clients. During this presentation, we'll talk about safety, we'll talk about assessor's checklist, we'll talk about expectations, patrol types, communication, paperwork, and safety. Let's start off with driving. This is normally the first thing we have for a storm. Many of you may be driving rented vehicles. Be sure and check that vehicle and know how it operates. You need to allow time for weather. You need to stay alert. You need to take breaks as often as you need it. Use a guide whenever backing. Always back in those parking spots. Keep all fuel receipts and know how to use your fuel card. At the storm, you'll have a storm bag. Storm bag will look something like this. That storm bag will include your hard hat, safety vest with storm services logo, clear and tinted safety glasses that you must provide, a spotlight that you also will provide, strobe lights, personal voltage detector, signs, your own personal safety first aid kit, and flagging tape, all elements of our safety. There's also a PVD V-Watch annual training requirement. You should complete this training annually. Personal gear will include your EH footwear, that's over the ankle, hardened toed EH, a spotlight that you provide, rain suits, ice cleats, and you need to plan for a minimum of 2 weeks for hurricanes and 1 week for everything else, first aid kit, and safety glasses. Those you provide. Special note, if we're working with Duke Energy, they allow no jewelry. That's rings, watches, necklaces, earrings, nothing. Leave it at home or at least leave it in your car. You need to have appropriate clothing. Dirty t-shirts and old raggedy clothes is not appropriate. Binoculars come in handy. Windshield de-icer. You also need to bring your clipboard, pens, highlighters, and those glue sticks. We talked about PVD a second ago. There are 5 pieces of personal that you will need to wear. Your EH footwear, like this one, your hard hat, your safety vest, your safety glasses, and your PVD. All of those should be worn anytime you're out of the vehicle. You're also required to wear your own EH over the ankle boots. Remember, sneakers are not appropriate footwear. They're not acceptable in the yard, staging areas, or the field. They will not protect you from nails, loose boards, sharp objects, or ice or snow. Those sneakers may be good for traveling, but they're not acceptable on the job. Every day you should participate in the pre-job brief. Open in the day. You also should revisit that pre-job brief anytime conditions change. Look for hazards like traffic, dogs, fences, snakes, bugs, and always be aware of where the nearest emergency room is. As you do your safety, ask yourself, do I understand and know how to use the safety guiding principles? Do I understand the task and how to perform it safely? Do I understand how my actions affect the safety of others? Am I trained and qualified to perform the task safely? Am I complying with the storm services and client procedures? Also, am I working safely? Am I communicating for safety? Do I refuse to accept unsafe work by others? Do I share lessons learned for the benefit of others? And do I report all safety issues? Safety starts with each of us individually. Understanding down conductors is one of the most important things we do. You must understand that all lines are to be considered energized until they are isolated, tested, and grounded. Do not violate the 10-foot rule. Never enter a substation. Never move a conductor. Stay out of those work zones. You might note a special note here. Many utilities have specific rules that are different than this. For example, Entergy requires that we take 2 spans away from down conductors. National Grid requires that we leave no hotline unattended. You need to be aware and ask questions about the specific rules where we are working. As an assessor, we expect you to be able to identify primary and secondary conductor, poles, services, insulators, transformers, fuses, reclosers, substations, voltage regulators, and capacitors. All parts of the system, all things you need to be able to understand and recognize. For example, in this recloser, can you look at it and tell if it's open or closed? Those are the kind of things that you need to look at and be able to understand. You need to be able to understand the difference between electric, cable, telephone, and customers' facilities. You need to be able to identify if protected devices are open or closed. And you need to be able to walk a mile in steep or difficult terrain, maybe with heavy snow or brush. All of those things that we expect. In addition, you need to be able to visually inspect all line segments. That includes primary, secondaries, and services that may require significant walking. Damage assessment for every unique outage event should involve surveying all the line to the first downstream protective device to be found in the normal status. As you do damage assessment, there are many information requirements. The damage associated with an outage event, damage associated with a protective device not yet associated with an outage, and customer facilities or devices associated with an event. You need to be able to identify and have information about all of those things. For example, reporting as a direct by a local client, you may have to call the DA coordinator, you may call an outage line, you may email to the client, you may text, you may turn in maps and events. The process that we use depends on our client's expectations. Almost universally, they're going to want to know outage and event numbers, unique device numbers, meter numbers, and maybe a GPS location. Communications are critical. Timing is critical. You need to stay in touch with the client and your storm services lead. Every DA team is required to have a smartphone and be able to send and receive email and text. Oil spills. If you come upon an oil spill, you need to be able to report that. You need to collect oil spill reporting when you first arrive, or at least make reports as directed. If you don't have oil spill reporting information, contact your DA lead. Chill out. You often have to wait. Weather, roads, plans, etc. We need to stay out of the way and wait. It's difficult. Waiting is not something that we like to do. However, there's a time to wait, and that time is important that we stay out of the way and stay ready and professional. Let's look at types of damage assessment. Damage assessment phases can be initial and statistical damage. Using a percent of the area, this is used to estimate ETRs and resource needs. This is done very early in the storm in the first 4 to 8 hours. We may not be part of that. It may be done by the client themselves, or we may be on site early and do some of this. It's important to do the damage assessment the way we're dictated by our clients. The second thing is damage assessment, either targeted or operational. This can be event or asset based. Event assessment is typically an outage number going to a specific location, checking specific things. Those are event based. Asset based, you may be given a map and asked to patrol a feeder and identify everything on it. Those are the two distinctive types of assessments. Sweeps are the third type of damage assessment. This is done to find overlooked or missed damage, find temporary repairs that need to be permanent, find discarded materials that need to be retrieved, and event damaged vegetation that may cause future problems. From an administrative standpoint, everyone should report their start and stop times every day to your storm services lead. Be sure and keep all those receipts, meals, fuels, tolls, hotel, anything else. They need to be submitted daily to your storm services lead. So we've been over safety, we've been over administration, we've been over our expectations. Your lead will provide you a password and a link for the exam. Thank you very much.